Right, we should be live. So, hello, welcome to another episode of Accountancy Sexy Changed My Mind. We have Sandy Ameer on the call with us today, and Sandy is not an accountant, nor is she a bookkeeper. So, this is a very new feature, and I'm really pleased to be able to bring this to you because Sandy is a client of an accountant and a bookkeeper, in fact. And I want to get... I thought it'd be interesting just to get a different perspective and an insight as to what it's like to be a client. So, Sandy, welcome to the show. It's really lovely to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Thanks for accepting. I know this is probably very different to what you get asked. If you wouldn't go onto a podcast and talk about your accountant, it's probably not a question that comes up every day.
No, I mean, I've done podcasts in the past about what I actually do, but never on this basis. But it's a pleasure to be asked to do so because it makes such a difference to us having an excellent bookkeeper who can also liaise with our accountant and keep us all in check.
Yeah.
So,
very good.
It's a pleasure to do.
Brilliant. So before we get into what life is like before and after, working with these amazing people, could you just give us a little bit of an understanding of what you do for a living, what your business is, how long you've been running, that kind of stuff?
Right. So my name's Sandy Ameer. I'm director of one of the directors at Acclaimed Mortgage Consultancy. We've been running nearly 21 years. I started the business on my own, and when we started, there was no funds to get external people involved. I would hand all my little receipts and everything to my husband, and he would then very nicely do a nice spreadsheet for me whenever it could be fitted in around what he was doing at the time. I mean, he's now been working with me for the last 10 years. But we engaged what we do because we're giving advice to our clients, on a daily basis. We have a lot of paperwork, a lot of compliance to do ourselves. So actually having to, look at doing the bookkeeping and the accounting side, it was just getting too much for us. Which is why we sort of looked at other options.
So is it just you and your husband in the business?
No, we have a lovely little team with us. And we're based in Knoll. So we advise on all aspects of mortgages, insurances like life cover, etc., and equity release. So like for the older generation. We're a nice team, but you can imagine there's payroll, there's so many financial bits, invoicing, lots of things that we have to pay for, like memberships of different systems that we can use to do our job as you would like. I think the accountant's equivalent is like the Xero and all of those things. We have lots of other systems that we have to use.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and did you say you've been running for about 10 years?
Nearly 21.
Nearly 21.
No, my husband, it's our 21st next year. No, my husband joined me in the business nearly 10 years ago. No, over 10 years ago.
Right. So you've gone through probably quite a few changes in that time. You must have grown and changed and morphed and all kinds of stuff.
Lots of changes. And I do wonder if we'd engaged with somebody before, whether anything would have changed. I don't know. But a lot of the decisions we make, we do sort of, discuss with our bookkeeper, just to sort of make sure that we've got it right and it's just another pair of eyes.
So if you think back, because I think
I've lost you. Sorry, I lost you there for a minute. Yeah, sorry.
That's right. It wasn't anything important at that stage. So if you think back on your journey then, and I believe from an off-screen conversation that we had that you have an accountant that has been with your business since day one. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, we had an accountant who was recommended to us 21 years ago. So we've stayed with our accountant during that time.
Okay. So when did the kind of thought process come in, or when did you start thinking about actually we need a little bit of a different support, as well as I would imagine your accountant is doing your year end and your compliance, but when did you think, do you know what, we need a little bit more than that?
So So we worked out it's just over 6 years since we engaged with a bookkeeper. And I
Mm.
think it was so my husband he was at that point working within the business. And then we had more and more receipts, more and more systems that we
Mm.
were using. It was expanding. And when he was having to use like weekends to look at doing like the spreadsheets, the accounting, entering it all, and getting a bit behind. We were never late, but getting behind, or it would take a whole weekend to sort it out. You
Mm.
have to sort of reconsider and think,
Yeah.
are we doing it the right way? Is there an easier way to do this?
Mm. And obviously it was Jenny that you found, but how did you
Mhm.
go about looking for that extra support? Where did you turn to first?
Um, so it was recommendation. I've known Jenny in other capacities,
Mm.
and we have tried other people before her, but I liked
Mm.
her style and, having spoken with her before as to what she could do and how she would do it, etc.
Mm.
And I like the fact that she wasn't just an inputter of numbers. She wanted to understand the business so that she could understand the references behind some of those payments and
Mm.
the systems that we were using. So she knows our business, maybe not as well as we do, but she's got a very, very good idea of it. So she can spot the different transactions and
Mm.
what they mean to the business. So, they're allocated in the right way.
Yeah, yeah. And you
So,
said you've worked with a couple of people before, and we're not here to dwell on what
oh,
went
no,
wrong,
no,
but
no.
it would be really lovely to understand what relationship did you have with them, or what were they not doing that they could have improved on?
I suppose it was I alluded to the inputting of
Mm.
figures. So I mean, obviously I can do that, but if you don't try and understand the business,
Mm.
sometimes you might do that wrong, and that did happen. So things were input or output in the put in the wrong columns
Mm.
makes a massive, massive difference, not just to the profit, but because we have regulatory reporting that we have to do every 6 months, can make a massive difference to our reports.
Mm.
So it's imperative that those things are accurate. And that's where it was really important, because Jenny did understand the business, does understand the business. She helped us sort of, allocate those things in the right way. So reporting became so much simpler
Mm.
because of that.
Mm. And do you think it would help, or do you think it helps if the bookkeeper or accountant has specialist knowledge of your particular industry, or do you not think that's necessarily important?
I don't think somebody needs to just sort of specialise in one area,
Mm.
but taking the time to understand the area they're working in, I'm sure would makes a massive difference to us personally,
Mm.
and I'm sure it would make it easier for these people to work with other people in that industry, um, in that sense. But if you've got the drive and the intellect to sort of think, okay, I'm a bookkeeper, I need to understand a little bit more. They don't need, I'm sure people can, that works well for everybody.
Mm. Mm. So, and when you're, and I don't know what kind of journey you've gone down as a business, but 21 years into it, you must have a relatively clear idea about what your values are
hmm
as a business. Did you purposely look for somebody who mirrored those values, or is that coincidental, or maybe did it not happen at all?
Um, I think, yeah, we're on the same wavelength. We're
Mm.
definitely on the same wavelength. It helps, and it helps for that you'd. So what we pride ourselves on is like the client service, the journey, and being able to speak to our clients in a way that they understand.
Mm.
Um, be it, about whatever we're sort of recommending. And I suppose for us, it helps, especially for me. I get figures in a different way, but for somebody to sort of explain figures in the way that I need them to explain it and not feel judged also helps as well. No offence to any accountants listening to
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. I have a struggle with numbers myself, and even talking to them from a marketing perspective sometimes makes me super nervous. But I am to understand from speaking to a few people that numbers are not necessarily, or quick mental maths isn't necessarily accountant's strengths either. So,
No.
numbers are all right. So looking at the journey then with Jennie, and that's been 6 years in the making now. When you first joined her, what kind of view did you have of what you needed to get done? What did you go to her for? And has that changed in the 6 years?
Absolutely. So at the beginning, it was just sort of, we just needed like everything prepared so that it would go to the accountant. But that has evolved. It's evolved a lot as our business has changed. The relationships evolved as well. So from that perspective, I think it's changed, but we've changed together. So if we've needed something different because of a different reporting requirement or different strength in the business, that's just evolved and naturally, as opposed to, it'll be every now and then, right, we just need a chat just to catch up, make sure we all understand each other. And it's not hard work.
Yeah. And do you have, it sounds quite regular but informal still, so there isn't necessarily a formal catch up that you have to have. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably towards the year end there's more catch ups, but sometimes it just depending what we're looking at during the year, there'll be others. So we speak via emails anyway, but it just depends on the situation and the year. I feel that the next year we might need more catch-ups in the evolving market, but we should just see and play it by ear.
Yeah. This is a weird time for mortgage companies at the moment.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And what about from your perspective now? Obviously, you've come to the bookkeeper, you come to Jennie because you wanted to stop working, or your husband wanted to stop working weekends. And you needed to get more control. But what about the stuff that you have to provide for the bookkeeper now? Do you remember all of the deadlines? Do you need help with the deadlines? What's it like from your perspective?
For us, it's easy in that, apart from the fact that my husband does most of it, it's really easy for me. But we know what we've got to do. We are in finances, and we look at it from the other end when we have self-employed clients come to us, what we need. So, it's quite easy. We put it all together. It's done as a daily thing. If there is if we get direct debits, if we get there's the bank statements, there's the invoices. I've just got a file, it's named Jennie, and it all goes in there. So it's not a hardship. We've touch wood, we've never missed a deadline. But because we have to keep our accounting up to date because of our regulations, we make sure that she gets what she needs in ample time, and it then goes to the accountant in ample time. We don't need to be chased. Maybe for the odd piece of paper, but no. Makes sense for us as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. But it sounds like you're a dream client, because there are many accountants and bookkeepers out there that they feel that they spend the majority of their time chasing people. But it sounds like because of the regulations and the way that you work, that you've actually got this all under control.
I hope so. I think so. Yeah. Like I say, I just hand it over.
Is he in the other office right now?
He is in the other office, but but I don't think he can hear this, so he's on an appointment, so that's all good.
Do you remember, going back to the start of your relationship with Jennie, do you remember she came through a referral or a recommendation? What was it like when what made you decide to join her? Do you remember that?
Getting time back, and there's a key thing in business. I'm sure you've heard it. It's like knowing your numbers, isn't it? And if we didn't have the time to do that, then it takes a little bit of time to know your numbers. But if you know them on a regular basis, it just makes, evolving much easier because you know what you're dealing with. So I suppose it was all those things, really. And I'd seen Jennie, seen her at different business groups, and I knew what she could do. And she's a geek. She classes, and I'm not, she says she's a number geek. She's the person that matches socks and all it. She had some great analogies of how, what she likes. So, and from that perspective, she loves what she's doing and she likes tidying things up and all the rest of it. So it just made sense.
Yeah, the sock analogy is a funny one because I'm more of an odd sock kind of person.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, I'm sure there was a sock. No, I do that as well, but when I can't find socks. Yeah, and then I try and pair them up.
Yeah, I've got as long as they're like the right shape and the right feel. As long as they're the right feel, that's fine. Anything else, patterns, no bother at all. But I think your the analogy, pairing them up is actually quite good. It's quite a good trait to have in a bookkeeper.
Yeah, she definitely. She did a presentation, and that's how she sort of described herself about she's the geek that likes this and likes that, and it was like, that's what you need.
Yeah, I think because Jennie's actually been a guest on this podcast before, and I believe she gave me that pitch at the end of our podcast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig it out and make sure that anyone who's listening to this podcast can just go back and listen to what she says, because I thought it was, or from memory, it was hilarious. And
probably. Yeah. Probably hilarious, because it is. It's like the opposite of what we probably are, but that's what you need to do that job.
Yeah. This is it. This is where we're all pieces of the puzzle. We're all fit together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry if you can hear a fire alarm. My apologies. I forgot that it's don't worry, it's gone now. It's just testing.
That's all right. No worries at all. Okay, so life is better with a Jennie in there. We know that.
Oh yeah, everyone should have a Jennie.
Everyone should have a Jennie. Could you summarise the impact that this has had on your business and maybe even your life? Because as we said, your husband was doing it at the weekends. So what kind of impact has Jennie had over these 6 years?
I could make such a joke, but this is probably not the forum to do it. So obviously it's fabulous that my husband and I get to spend more time together. We work together and it's just lovely getting all that extra time back together. Sorry. No, it does make a difference.
I had the pandemic with my husband sitting right next to me. He's not there currently, but I understand.
Yeah, you're with me. No, it's absolutely fine. It makes things easier, which is at the end goal, and it's a phone call. And what do you think about this? If we were to do this, would it? We run things like that past her if we're going to sort of take somebody on, and so it's definitely made a difference. And to be honest, having a good relationship with your bookkeeper is priceless.
So let me just ask you the flip side of that then. What do you think life would be like today if you didn't have a Jennie?
Oh, yeah, time. Absolutely. Yeah, there'd be a lot of time not wasted, but a lot of time involved in definitely. And interestingly, if we didn't present what we present like that to our accountant bill would be higher as well.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Because she does it so well, as he says it himself, that she presents it so well, then he doesn't need to charge us, he charges us a respectable fee for what he does, because as he says, he hasn't needed to check it all and collate it and do different things with it. So makes a difference.
I think that people are often quite nervous about having separate bookkeepers to accountants, because they think, if it's all under one roof, then they'll understand it better. But that's not necessarily the case. Then it sounds like.
Well, if you get it right, though, you introduce them to each other. They understand each other. They have each other's contact details, and they can liaise together. So it's not as assuming the parties concerned will work together. Because I'm sure some people don't enjoy doing that, but it's worked absolutely fine.
Mm. And let's kind of move on into the future now. 21 years is like, obviously you'll be celebrating, but what's your view on your business and your goals past this? And where does Jennie fit into that plan?
I think we're a little bit older than Jennie, so I'd imagine we'll be finishing before Jennie does. So, it'll be, assuming she wants to continue as well, we'll just carry on as we are. Got no plans to change that side of the business at all. It works well for us. It's not broken, and there's absolutely no need to fix it.
Mm. So if someone came along and with all this fancy bookkeeping terms, your head wouldn't be swayed.
No. It's all about relationships as well.
Yeah, excellent.
I'm quite loyal like that, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, there is one last question that I would like to ask you, and I ask all of my guests this, and I haven't prepared you for this one, so I'm sorry.
No.
Well, I'm not sorry at all.
Okay.
What's the sexiest thing I'm going to say about bookkeepers?
What, in general? I don't know a lot of them. Okay, without sounding odd, if I'm going to sort of say about Jennie, she's got lovely red hair, bless her. But that's not, I'm just saying that generally because I wasn't prepared for that question. Or you could say they're figures.
Oh, yes.
Like that.
Very good.
I like that. That's a good one. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll take it. Right.
Yep.
That's all that we have time for today. So thank you very much for giving us an insight into your business and what the relationship is like with your bookkeeper and your accountant. I'm sure that's going to be really useful to the audience to understand what it is that they are actually selling, the impact that they have on people's lives.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
not something they get told often enough. So I really appreciate you coming on.
That's lovely. Thank you so much for having me.
No worries at all. Thanks then, Sandy.
All right.